buzzing around like a fly, I'll finish you off with a double Zeta Gundam. Hey!
You're listening to the show that brings a point to your ear, like Leonard Nimoy. That's right, Gundam at MAHQ. And this is lucky number episode 13. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about our take on the first 4 episodes of Macross Frontier now that it's starting its broadcast launch. We're also going to get into our favorite captains of all time when it comes to mecha anime shows and related anime shows as well. And last but not least, we're going to start our introduction to Mobile Suit Gundam and its franchise by starting with the pivotal series itself, the series that started it all, Mobile Suit Gundam.
Part of our new Gundam Roundup series that we've added along with
the Anime Spotlight?
Anime
there you go.
Spotlight. Drawing a blank on that one. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks.
Before we kick off this episode, we definitely got to get into something that originally this episode we were actually going to get into our discussions on Mobile Suit Gundam 00, but we had a little bit of a mishap. But also, I'd like to introduce us. I'm Sobro Ryu, and also with us here is
Neil Lorno,
and of course,
good old Chris.
And by all means, Chris, you can let everybody know about what the developments that have happened over the last few days.
Well, basically, this is the more like the cursed episode 13, and basically, the very least of it, I screwed up. So y'all see we're running a bit behind on episode 13. So we actually had episode 13 and 14 fully recorded, but it went on for a ginormously long amount of time.
Yeah.
Usually we have our files that we upload to the internet, and Solbro diligently edits them to create the internet magic that you hear every time an episode is released. But unfortunately, I had thought that I had uploaded my files, but it turns out that I didn't. And when we went to record episode 14 on the last Sunday, which was April something.
27th. The 27th.
I went and deleted my files for episode 13 because I thought he had them.
And I should have been more forthcoming with saying I had or hadn't had them at the time. So it was, yeah. I don't take all the blame on that one. I'm just as much to blame on that.
No blame on me.
However, as we were discussing this on the phone the other day, this might be a blessing in disguise because we spent such a disgustingly long amount of time talking about 00 that we realized that some changes were in order for episode reviews. So you will see starting in the episode 14 when we review 00 again, we're going to be trying to cut down on some extraneous stuff and do things a little bit more organized so that we can get through the plots of the shows rather quickly so that we can spend more time on analysis and discussion. So here's what's actually happening with these Frankenstein episodes. Originally we were going to have in episode 13 our discussion of 00, as well as the 00 halftime awards that we posted on MAHQ forum, Mecha Talk. And then we were going to get into the first segment of Gundam Roundup with Mobile Suit Gundam. Then in episode 14, we were going to do Macross Frontier, the greatest mecha captains of all time, and then Anime Spotlight Zeta Gundam. So given this whole mix-up, to prevent us from falling even further behind, we sort of are repurposing things. So what you're hearing as episode 13 is actually 2/3 of episode 14, along with a re-recording of the Anime Spotlight for MSG. So in episode 14, you will hear the re-recording of our 00 reviews, Light for Zeta, which we actually recorded already a week before, and then some other segment, the halftime show, and what the hell, we're probably going to be discussing the Iron Man movie, because it's awesome, and why the hell not?
That's right. So we're talking to you, Robert Downey.
But if you don't care about that explanation and you just want to hear Gundam, well, this is episode 13. So
There you go.
Yeah, so getting into the unlucky episode 13, I'll turn it over to Neo now for another jaw-biting edition of Neo's News.
Jaw-biting. I didn't know that I put that type of pain on people, but...
Maybe we all do. Maybe it's a pain for everyone to hear our voices every few weeks.
But a little bit of news here. This is going to be kind of a rehash of what the original episode 13 news is. So if it sounds a little dated, then guys, don't hate too much on the forums. But a couple quick things, especially with Double O. I guess when Volume 3 came out in Japan, it did pretty well, being the fifth, number 5 on the overall DVD chart, and number 1 on their anime DVD chart. So it's doing very well in Japan, and I guess we'll find out later on when we hit episode 14, how well it's doing. So good stuff there. Also, I know that I have this, and I doubt my number's included on here, but the Gundam 00DS first week sales, it came in number 3 overall in Japan with over 49,000 copies sold. So as somebody that's played the game, I definitely encourage any of the English-speaking or American or European people that listen to Gundam or like Double O to see if you can get this game. Definitely a fun little game to have, and there's many places that you can go to get it. So if you have any questions or anything or drawing up a blank, just send us something on the forums and we'll let you know. More game news. I know that we talked about this in one of the earlier episodes. There's going to be a game called the Battle of Sunrise with a lot of the Sunrise Mecha heroes, and Sunrise Interactive put up the official site, and it's got some cool stuff on there. It's got some of the gameplay vids on there. I checked it out not too long ago. It looked pretty good, but some of the stuff is still looks like it's in testing a little bit. And there's some wallpapers there, and they're continuously updating it. So
nice.
All those looking forward to that game, definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's going to be a release of Gundam Operation Troy in June 26th in Japan. Chris, really quick, what would that be for everybody? Operation Troy.
That's the off-delayed
Yeah.
mobile ops, the 1 year war, which was announced way back in like 2006.
That's the 360 game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of mysteriously vanished after Crossfire came out on the PS3 and was a disgusting abomination of a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they just spent time redeveloping this game or something, because this game was announced a long time ago, and it's very unusual for a Gundam game to fall off the radar for so long.
Yeah.
For a while there, I was wondering if the game was just canceled, but
Me too.
now it's back. And if you all didn't know about the game back when it was originally announced in 2006, it's basically a Gundam version of Battlefield.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
With ground combat, jumping into tanks, airplanes, mobile suits, that sort of thing. But like Crossfire, it's sort of a more gritty, realistic interpretation of the 1 year war, to the point that, to try to make it marketable in America, they're dumping the Gundam game with, the whole mobile ops. Because, anything with ops must be intriguing to, like, military shooter fanboys.
They're definitely getting tricked into buying them.
Yeah.
So I guess the release date in Japan is June 26th of this year. So I don't have any information on when it's going to be coming in America. Hopefully, maybe by Christmas might be good. That might
Hopefully
be
by
a nice
fourth
thing
quarter.
to find under the Christmas tree.
Definitely keep an eye on it.
Or not.
Because, disappointment does follow Gundam sometimes, unfortunately.
Sometimes Gundam games disappointing? What? Are you serious?
I know it's a shocker, but
Oh,
please, I know I've shocked you, Chris. Please sit down the next time. I'll warn you. I'll warn you when I do those little zingers about.
Please do. I might have a heart attack over this Gundam game being bad.
Might need the Tony Stark pacemaker to keep you alive.
I think I will. If it means I get a cool battle suit, then hell yeah.
Right on.
Definitely, right? Cool battle suit, cool cars, and
Lots of hot women.
nice looking secretary.
That's
yeah,
true.
exactly.
I just gotta be wary of if I see bridges hanging around.
It's
Well,
like activate the stripper pole in the Learjet.
Hey,
Let's save that for episode 14. But
Oh, that's classic.
the man knows how to outfit his equipment.
Heck yes.
definitely.
He's not a
Definitely.
genius.
Anyway,
He's a genius
But,
for good reason.
Back to some great Gundam news. On the also on the Double O website, they've updated a couple of the mecha outlines for the Natale, the Alvator, and the Alvaron. I guess
Cool.
the Alvator and Alvaron are the mobile armor and the mobile suit, those hideous gold things that that the creepiest guy of them all, Alejandro Corner, was
Ooh,
doing
man.
at the end of episode 25. Spoiler alert, folks. Finally, some more information on some game news would be the Gundam vs. Gundam game.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, there's some information that's going to be posted on the Japanese boards. Unfortunately, that means they're going to be in Japanese. Of
course. Really?
I'm sure that. Well, I'll be a captain obvious there. It's just like when people ask people at this theme parks up here, what time is the 4 o'clock parade?
This is true.
But excuse me, ma'am, what time is the 4 o'clock parade? I think it's at 4 o'clock.
By the way, I think we had mentioned this because it was news when we originally recorded episode 13 about 00 being licensed, which is no longer news now, but we might as well just mention it for the sake of posterity.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of save that, but I'm gonna finish up here on the Gundam vs. Gundam. There's some stuff that they're updating like once a month, I guess, until the game comes out. I'm sure some of the translations will be online. They've already done 2 of them. They came out on April 14th and May 7th. There's one coming up on June 2nd, followed up with July 7th, August 4th, and September 1st. So there's going to be some information. Usually they're speculating a lot of it's going to be about some of the secret playable units and some other cool stuff that they're adding to the game elements. But
please God, come out here on the 360.
I will go into the old episode 14 news, because this is kind of like the hybrid version of a Gundam podcast. Bandai Entertainment licensed Gundam 00. It's been announced on GundamOfficial.com. And don't have any too much more information on that, but it was a little surprising, because it kind of came out of nowhere to an extent, because I didn't think they were going to license it for a while.
Yeah.
I thought they would eventually do it, but I didn't think it was gaining that much buzz around here. But
especially in the shadow of all the Code Geass promotions they've been doing, I'm glad to hear it got licensed. Hopefully it carries over.
That, and I guess the whole thing with Destiny. So
yeah, true.
I guess I don't know, but we'll definitely pass on more information about updates when it comes to launch date or release dates, voice casts or whatever. Hopefully by the time that we finish episode 14, there'll be some more information on there. So Gundam is definitely your place for Gundam 00 information. So, and of course, all my news is always courtesy at the fine folks at Gonoda. So with that, I'll just give it back to old Solbro so we can begin this up.
And we get down and dirty in our first segment in just a moment. You're listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Gundam!
Striking out on finding your favorite manga, anime, or series merchandise nearby or online? Lost when it comes to finding pop music from Japan, Hong Kong, and other Asian markets? Well then, Florida Oriental Trading is here to help. If you live in the Central Florida area, head on over to the intersection of Colonial Drive and Mills Avenue near downtown Orlando. You'll find FOT right next to the CVS Pharmacy. For those who live abroad, find out more about our favorite store online at FloridaOrientalTrading.com or call them directly at area code 407-895-0650. FOT carries a large selection of merchandise such as art books, t-shirts, posters, wall scrolls, soundtracks, PVC figurines, models, and much, much more. Also, it's a great place to find imports of your favorite musical artists and the latest films from Japan, Hong Kong, and other Asian countries. Last but not least, Florida Oriental Trading is not only home to the best selection of anime on DVD in Central Florida, but there you'll find a wide variety of manga too. On top of that, all of their manga is always priced at 20% less than retail, daily.
20%.
That's right, Frank.
20%.
Florida Oriental Trading is open every day except Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You even find them open most holidays. So if you're local, stop on by and visit Quan and Debbie or give them a call at area code 407-895-0650 and give them the business. Tell them Gundam at MAHQ sent you.
Did you order the code red?
Gun-
Damn right I did!
君は誰とキスをする私それともあなた君は誰とキスをする星を巡る野獣
Welcome back to Gundam. This is Chris, and for this segment, we're going to be talking again about Macross Frontier, which is currently airing in Japan. A few episodes ago, we looked at the special deculture version of the first episode that aired around Christmas time, and now the show is regularly broadcasting as a few episodes in, so we're going to be reviewing this show every few episodes just like we did with Double O. So we're going to start with the broadcast version of episode 1, which has a few new scenes as well as some scenes removed, and then we're going to jump into the new stuff that was in episodes 2 through 4. So before we get into the differences, you guys have any comments on what you thought of the broadcast version of episode 1?
I liked it a lot more than the other one, actually.
Did you really? I mean,
yeah, I actually did.
I mean, there's I like the additional scenes that they showed, but I like the I just think there was the culture. Was it the culture edition, the original preview?
The culture.
You got it. The original preview release was just a bit more movie-like. This one, we had a opening theme which I liked a lot, and the opening sequence is awesome. And then the additional scenes kind of gave you kind of more behind-the-scenes look of what was going on with the whole with the whole concert that was going to be planned, and I thought that was really cool. But I'd have to say I liked the culture edition just a bit better.
I like the other one, the new one, because it got to the point quicker.
Oh man, I'm
all about the points.
All about
getting
curtains.
to the points.
And as for me, I don't have any opinion because I don't need to, since the MAHQ Day Culture Edition is coming out soon on video, which will be both combined. So
okay.
I had a feeling.
There you go. One new change that was in the first episode that I liked was the way they redid part of the concert, because in the Deculture version it was kind of lame. It's sort of like Alto and his buddies, they were just kind of flying cameramen, not really doing anything.
Yeah.
But here he does that corkscrew of his and screws it up, and ends up grabbing Cheryl and flying through the air with her while she's singing. So that sort of gives them establishes more of a personal connection that we see expounded upon in episodes 2 and beyond. So I think that worked. Some other scenes showing some more about her and them, and that first episode, they just really make her come across as a bitch.
Oh yeah, highly so. And on top of that, I noticed that there was a role reversal, and there's a role reversal in the show. Now you got to see more of her. She's more like Misa Hayase, although she's the pop diva, while what's her name, Ranka is more like Lin Min Mei. I mean, obviously, but she's not the pop diva at all. Although you can see that that might actually it might actually come to pass in the series, as like the credits kind of allude to, and the opening kind of alludes to too. And on top of that, we got to see more of Catherine Glass, who I don't even recall seeing in the first
she was there,
the Deculture edition at all. Maybe in passing, but she didn't really.
She was there.
She was there.
She was just really limited. Yeah.
Yeah, she just didn't say much or have much of a presence.
She had a few scenes, but she didn't get talked down to like she did in the broadcast version. That was a new scene. They talk some more about Alto's background and the way they tease him, because we see that he comes from a kabuki family.
Yeah.
So they kind of hinted that in the first episode, whereas in the Deculture it's just based more off of his looks, whereas here you find out it's not just his looks but his family background.
Yeah, that was really kind of interesting, because it shows you part of why he's kind of the way he is. He rebelled against his family because he was supposed to be an actor and following their footsteps, but he quit and joined that academy to learn how to fly. So
probably to rebel against just like you said, to rebel against his family. But now do you think his intentions were pure of joining and want to become a pilot, or you just think he did it to just rebel?
No, I think
100%.
I'm sure he
both.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is he wants to fly, because that one thing where he's flying up into the sky after he takes off in the suit, and he's like, it's and he almost runs into the billboard. He's I can't go high enough. I can't go high enough. So
well, it's like he said, the sky stops at 2,000 meters.
Yeah,
that's true.
And he didn't seem like as much of a slacker. Like, he seemed like kind of a slacker in the first one.
Yeah.
And it didn't really make sense. But this one, you see he's a little bit more driven.
That and his fondness for paper airplanes. Man can make one with the quickness.
Man, this guy in paper airplanes is kind of like Bright and cheeseburgers.
Yeah. There you go. Everybody's got their fetish.
Some stranger than others.
Wow.
It's that exactly.
So, any other comments on episode 1
No.
broadcast version?
It was very intriguing just to see the time that they had for additional scenes. I didn't expect anything new. I expected things to be taken out, and that was it. It was a nice surprise to watch that first episode. It was worth watching.
Well, there were some of the things that they took out, like Cheryl's passenger shuttle coming out of fold, and then that whole sweeping view of the Frontier fleet, that's gone.
Yeah.
One change that I don't mind that they made is, remember that in the Deculture version, they sent out a bunch of ghost fighters to investigate the enemy, and then they all got blown away.
Yeah.
And then new UN Spacey sends out its fighters.
Yeah.
So by not showing the ghost thing, it sort of makes it a little bit more suspenseful because you don't know yet quite what these things are, and they keep the surprise longer.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I noticed that whole initial fight seemed a lot shorter than what it was in the original showing.
You know, I think they did a good job with both versions, and I'll just be glad to see the final version when it comes out. And since it's going to run 32 minutes, makes me wonder if there might still be even more new things in there.
Wow.
That's episode 1, the broadcast version, Close Encounter. So moving on, we have episode 2, Hard Chase. So one of you guys want to jump in with this one?
Oh, Neo, this is all you right here.
What?
Oh, man. You remember when we talked about this show before, about all the similarities of this is the original series, and then we watched it this morning? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we got basically at the end of the first episode, Alto gets into the Valkyrie and starts fighting the monster, and then and this starts off with a continuation of that. And what is it? He's doing all right against it.
He's doing all sorts of stunts.
Yeah,
going
he's doing all types of stunts. Then he sees Ranka and he picks her up. Rich, that was kind of cool to show how delicate it is you have to be with the controls.
Very true.
To pick up somebody. Usually in all these mecha shows, it's just like they move the lever or move the joystick and there he goes. But that one, he had to I remember seeing that where he's trying to be very careful not to crush her. And
yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah, that was really cool. I thought that was really neat because every mecha show, it's just here we go, move the joystick this way, pick you up, no problem.
Or just slam it really hard in one direction seems to be the prevailing thing, especially in Gundam. Just, press the joystick really hard in one direction, and that does what you need to do.
The pick up person button. Pick up person.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we have that pretty cool chase scene down the highway and stuff, which was reminiscent of the original show. But, man, that thing it looked incredible with all the visuals and all that stuff going on. He's blasting up the side of that building. That was pretty cool. And then, what is it? He's fighting that monster, and it blows off one of his arms. And I guess that shot that blew off the arm put a hole in the dome.
Yeah.
So then, she was in the arm, so she's floating up, and that was a nice take of reinventing the old, Rika, Minmay, little saving there with.
You mean Hikaru?
Oh, Hikaru.
I'm sorry.
I came close to saying Lisa Hayes earlier. It's oh, wait a minute. Misa Ayase.
Old habits die hard.
They sure do.
I understand.
So, yeah, I know.
Just got to make sure so that some of those wacko fanatics don't jump on us.
Oh,
you gotta untrain yourself.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
But I will. But yeah, that was cool. And doing that whole thing of she's flying out in the space, then Alto ejects out of there and uses the exosuit to basically go and save her and everything. And then later on, you get hit with the revelation that she's what is she, 1/4?
Yeah, 1/4 Zentradi.
1/4 Zentradi. Yeah. We were watching. I was like, I bet she's Zentradi, man, or at least some part of Zentradi because of her hair color. Granted that it could have been just an aesthetic, but then sure enough, that turned out to be the case.
Well, usually, at least in Macross, most people who do have green hair are Zentradi, so they've been pretty consistent with that.
That's cool, and I'm glad they stuck with it instead of throwing a monkey wrench and everything.
You look at people like Milia, Gold.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much any person you see has green hair in Macross is usually Zentradi, so that's some consistency there.
Very true.
Or they have those pointy elf ears.
And speaking of which, there's someone in the intro of the show that does. I don't think we've been introduced to that character yet. Maybe we have. I think we'll be talking about her later, actually. But anything else about the second episode? Well, I mean, moving on, I guess it would be the second half of the second episode as well.
Yeah, we've got Alto rescues Ranka and accidentally cops a feel because Kuki in the cockpit.
That's right.
And he sort of runs off before she can say thank you, and it's one nice touch is when he's going through the city and he sees how wrecked everything is. He just starts puking on the floor, which I think is a pretty good reaction for someone like him who has just been in battle for the first time, and it was something he wasn't expecting to do.
Yeah, everything kind of hit him at once, and he saw that, and I guess he probably thought back to the old Gilliam, the Howard Mason of
Macross Frontier.
of Macross Frontier.
A guy who gets remembered more for being dead than for being alive.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So, of course, there are consequences, and they come to arrest him for piloting the VF-25,
Yeah.
and they say, like, hey, either go to jail or join the military, which seems like those aren't really great choices. And it's like, wait a second, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
It's at least, it happened in Super Robot Wars. It happened in at least one other show that I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing. But it was interesting, though, too, because before they did that, they took his blood. And I guess they took Ranka's blood, too. And I guess it's because being in contact with the monsters, there must be something that we don't know yet of what happens to human blood when they get in contact. So.
Well, I would imagine it's probably more procedure of coming in contact with an alien and testing to see if there's anything weird with you.
Yeah.
Very true.
After that. But one thing that we do notice in this episode is that these monsters, these Vajra, they respond to Ranka.
Yeah.
When she's singing, when she's screaming, there's obviously a connection between their behavior. We also see that Alto's buddies are actually SMS pilots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Really kind of surprising. And Mikhail is sort of like the Mac, since he's the sniper ace with the blue Valkyrie.
He doesn't wear glasses in the suit. Amazingly, he does wear the sight scope though. But other than that,
Yeah.
I was watching the episode. It's like, is that Mikhail? Because you don't see him with his glasses on, but you do see him with a little sight on, and he's got the blue suit. And it's like I thought he was going to be the Max of the show, but sure enough, I was wondering why the heck is he and the other shorter guy, I forget his name, Luca, thank you, why they're in Valkyries and Alto has no business being in one.
Yeah.
And of course we find out what happened. They've been in the forces for a while now, just secretly.
And interestingly, he's also a playboy, just like Max, as we saw from the broadcast version of episode 1.
Yeah.
He was hitting on some girls and accidentally confusing them for Cheryl.
Yeah.
He played that through well. That was hilarious. That was nice. That was one of the uncut scenes from one of the new scenes in the first episode too. That was really awesome to see just a little side of him like that. I didn't think he'd be as laid back as that.
And it's interesting to see Alto get his first correction.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
When he says to Ozma, like, "Hey, let me pilot a Valkyrie," and Ozma just looks at him and punches him in the face.
Yeah. And this is where also we find out that SMS is a military contractor.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that was revealed in the first episode.
okay. I thought they went into more on this one though, because I remember her brother kind of explaining it to him. I guess that's maybe why I guess I picked it up more on this one.
By the way, did you guys spot the not so subtle homage to Macross 7?
Which one? With
when
what was it?
with Alto and he's driving around like a maniac.
Yeah.
Firebomber's playing in the radio.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know that. I didn't notice at all. I haven't seen any of Macross 7. I really need to check out the soundtrack though, because I heard it was really good.
And you got the old what is it, the skeleton bull squadron, the skull squadron thing on top of his car.
Oh yeah,
That was kind of funny.
So if they're playing Firebomber in this show, there's a good chance we might hear some Sharon Apple in this show, maybe.
That's possible, because back in Macross 7 they used to play Sharon Apple music in the background occasionally, so I guess they just do that as a constant homage between every series.
Yeah.
One thing that was interesting at the end of this episode is how we have Cheryl looking for Alto, and she runs into Ranka,
Yeah.
but she's in disguise the way Min-Mei disguises herself with a hat and sunglasses.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, hearing Ranka talk to Cheryl about how she wants to be like Cheryl, and then Cheryl just surprises her by revealing herself and singing along with her, and basically saying go for your dream. Then they both coincidentally run into Alto, which leads us to episode 3. On your marks. There's a Vajra mecha, this red lobster, trying to attack the dome.
Yeah.
So they run into an emergency shelter in classic Macross fashion.
Yeah.
Locked down.
And they're sort of stuck together in lockdown. And
Oh yeah, by the way, it's not connected to anything either. It wasn't connected to the rest of the colony or the ship.
Sucks for them, but it's certainly worse for
Yeah.
Alto when he gets a nice little fan service view of Cheryl topless.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, and then the little joke later when Ranka pulls out the the buns that look like breasts anyway,
Yeah.
and they all start busting out laughing. That was pretty funny though.
The buns. But I'm thinking to myself, man, this must be a pretty damn flimsy dress if,
I know.
you know, you trip and then something like half of it falls down and your boobs are spilling out.
That's what I'm saying. That's
I
like,
don't know what kind of dress that is.
you better sue your tailor.
Something a little bit stronger material or something.
Now that's a wardrobe malfunction.
I take it's definitely not 100% cotton.
So some other interesting things in this episode. We find out that Ozma is Ranka's brother,
Yeah.
which looked pretty obvious because they don't look
Alike.
anything alike.
Yeah.
And when you look at him, he doesn't look to have any Zentron features at all.
That's what I was thinking too.
And she had a flashback of a Vajra mecha destroying something, and that's when Ozma explains to Alto that her family was killed, and he sort of took her in, and that he feels guilty about not being able to defend people. And we see that Alto wants to get into SMS and find out more
Right.
about the Vajra, but Ozma basically tells him once you find out, there's no turning back. And there was this kind of weird scene. Did you guys think it was kind of weird, the funeral for Gilliam?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the whole story about them using him as fuel?
Yeah, I got like a whole Soylent Green vibe from that. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, me too. It's like, is that how people's bodies are used?
I don't know.
In the show?
Maybe in space, if you have limited resources, there are valuable elements that make up a human body, so maybe they grind people up and use the elements in their bodies for fuel. I don't know. It's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was real creepy, but
a little weird.
The whole kind of vibe though is kind of creepy, especially when every time you get with you having the scenes with Kathy, and even with her. Who is the guy that's messing with her?
The
Leon.
That creepy looking guy.
Yeah.
assistant to the president, right?
Yeah.
The liaison.
Who was her dad.
Who's her dad?
Who is her dad? It's like,
And
wow,
that's
another Misaha homage right there.
Well, there's a whole. I was just getting a whole dark kind of vibe. Like there's a bigger secret to the whole frontier colony.
Yeah.
And that's further, reinforced by that whole thing of using his body for fuel.
And that guy Leon just strikes me as really creepy. And as I put in my review,
He seems shady as all get out, and I can't wait to see what his grand scheme might be if he's actually being played to that degree.
but he's shacking up with the boss's daughter on top of that.
Oh, you know that's a relationship of convenience on his part.
And personally, I did not need to see him tonguing her.
Yeah.
I did not need to see that creepy looking guy sticking his tongue out, and it's like, oh, that's the kind of fan service I don't want.
Yeah, he's kind of creepy. He might actually end up being creepier in the end than old Alejandro from Double O.
He sets off my creepy spider sense.
Yo.
Just like Alejandro does.
He propped her up on the desk all over the documents, man. I gotta give him props, man. He knew the second that work was up, man. It's like, oh, work ended 30 seconds ago. I was like, you can call me Leon.
One thing I did like about the funeral scene was the juxtaposition of this really small funeral for Gilliam versus the full military honors for the UN pilots that got killed.
Yeah.
And how Ozma tells Alto that when a contractor dies, it's just treated as an accident, and they don't get any honors. They don't get buried in a military cemetery. Their family never finds out what happens to them, and it's just sort of shows what sort of a hard life.
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder how and why they even do it.
That's true. I mean,
So-
it makes you wonder what the benefits are. I mean, granted, they do it for they have their own personal reasons as to why they're mercenaries. I mean, in a sense.
Well, UN Spacey looks pretty crappy. So.
Yeah, they're definitely needed.
And end of this episode, we have another scene with Ranka and Alto sort of deepening the connection with them, where she's singing and she's talking about how she doesn't want anybody to hear her singing, and he basically tells her like, hey, if you have a dream, you should go for it, and which is the same thing that Cheryl told her earlier.
Yep.
And we end with another homage with Ranka applying for the Miss Macross Frontier contest, which leads us to episode 4, which amazingly is titled Miss Macross.
We had to come to this point somewhere.
So actually, I went into this episode with a little bit of trepidation because, while I like all the homages, it's sort of like, wow, I hope they're not just going to keep doing like everything from the original series. As much as I like the homages, there's a fine line between homage and then just rip off.
Yeah. Was Neo's voice echoing in your ear?
Yeah, did you
It's
hear
like-
my voice
it's
going
like,
to the
dang
back
it.
of your brain?
I don't want to hear him talk about, well, this show's just retreading everything. Damn.
We have a Costco roar.
Costco Roy.
However, luckily
It was good. Yeah, it was a good episode.
proved to be quite different. So we have Alto in training, and he basically is getting his ass kicked in the simulator. But we find out there that it's Mikhail, or for whatever reason they call him Mitchell when he's at work.
Yeah.
Bumped up the difficulty level just to screw with him and break his arrogance. We have Ranka trying out for the Miss Macross contest, and she sort of has the same fear that Minmay did, because Minmay was up against all these adult women, big and busty, and she was up against like a movie star, and Ranka's just this sort of little tiny cute little girl up against all these other like busty chicks.
Yeah.
And she's sort of feeling outclassed until Cheryl shows up and pumps her up and says, you gotta stand up and make your dream a reality. So we got her singing, and very fittingly with this episode, she's singing the old Minmay classic "My Boyfriend Is a Pilot."
Oh, I love that scene.
Which is overlaid with Alto having his mock space battle with a squad of Zentradi women.
Zentradi Amazons, man. Oh man, that riles me up. Anyway.
So, of course, things go wrong when a Vajra lobster defolds in front of them, and you sort of have this fight in the asteroid field. Alto sort of violates orders and goes and attacks with his stupid little knife, since they were doing paint rounds.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any real ammunition. He sort of gets easily tossed aside. But luckily, as they mentioned, that asteroid field was former Zentradi battleground, so they had found earlier Zentradi battlesuit floating around. So he sort of nicely grabs this gun pod thing, and he just blasts the hell out of that damn Vajra and blows it up, as well as half of his Valkyrie.
The old kamikaze method.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a really... I love the way that whole paintball scene was directed, and how the action was laid out for that scene. But then later on, when a real enemy shows up and he tries to get it with the beam dagger and has no luck. But I mean, the way it's directed, especially the scene where he's tussling with the Vajra, and they have kind of like that rotation, and you see the speed lines and everything, and it's all in 3D, but it's like cell shaded 3D. I was like, that was just a scene that was really well done to me, and I like that a lot. But
one thing I thought was really dorky, but also just funny, was when he took out before the Vajra attack, when he took out the first Quedlin Rao pilot, and he stops to do a kabuki pose.
Yes.
And they superimpose a real kabuki doing that pose, and even Mikhail's like, "Oh, what's this guy doing?" Or it was Ozma.
It's nice to see the show has a sense of humor.
Yeah. So unfortunately, in the end, Ranka does not win Miss Macross Frontier,
Which I liked.
Yeah.
I was kind of afraid that she's gonna win.
She's gonna sweep it because of her.
She's
her
all
cuteness
cute.
and clumsiness.
And, the Japanese businessmen in the audience love them young. So
Yeah. What was interesting was seeing the panel of judges, which included
Yeah.
Alto's father, who did not look happy when he saw Alto and said, I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that stranger is.
We had Kathy as one of the judges, and we found out that she was a past contestant herself.
Awesome.
yeah, eighth place or something like that.
And then her creepy boyfriend was one too. And from the looks of it, I think the judges were probably impressed by Ranka, and I think he was lobbying to have them vote against her.
Wow.
Probably.
Because he was showing them her file, and he was talking to them, and Kathy's looking at him like, oh, what's this guy doing? So obviously he knows what's up with Ranka, because he was surprised in the last episode when he saw that she was one of the people that was trapped inside that shelter.
Yeah.
So he knows what's up with her. And we find out that the deal with her is that she was on a ship that was part of a research fleet, and 1,000 people got killed when the Vajra attacked. Of course, they covered it up and said that it was a full dislocation.
Yeah.
And Ranka's one of the survivors of that accident, which relates to her flashback.
And Ozma was one of the pilots that responded to the Vajra there, so I guess that's how their paths crossed.
Yeah. So by the end of the episode, she doesn't get Miss Macross contest prize, but we do see this rather interesting scene at the Nyan Nyan, which really reminded me of the original series, how like all the soldiers would hang out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were all hanging out there, and you have this very odd thing where one of the female Zentradi pilots, Clan or however the hell her name's pronounced, is nobody knows for sure yet.
Yeah,
we
saw her earlier.
Yeah, she's this,
when she came out the suit, and she was all Amazon-ish and busty as all get out. And then you see her in the restaurant, and I'll let you get into it. Go ahead.
They explain that, she has some genetic defect. Whenever she gets mycloned, she turns into this little lolly, which I don't buy at all. It's really weird. It's just like there's this explanation that, how Ranka's hair sort of moves on its own?
Yeah.
They explain that as being part of her Zentradi background, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, I don't recall ever seeing any Zentradi with funky moving hair.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't see any Zentradi that got mycloned down into like little kids, so that just seems like
very true.
some weird stuff, and sort of like they're just looking for an excuse to have a lolly character character.
Or to throw in some moe.
Some moe love.
Yeah, but I thought it was cool in a sense because I guess it adds a comedic flair to the show. It kind of reminds me, and Neil would kill me for this, but it kind of reminds me of that chick from Tango Tenge, the one girl that can I forget her name, but she's one of the sisters.
Oh, Maya.
Maya.
Oh, when she does when she goes down she uses her chi to get small.
Exactly, and then becomes this busty.
Well,
badass
her
chick
self,
later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So now that we've a few episodes into the show and sort of have a feel for where it's going, what do you guys think of this first batch of episodes, and what do you expect in the future?
My fears have been silenced so far, so I can't do anything ill-informed for a while. But no, like I said, I actually liked the first episode, the new broadcast version. I like the fact that the character types are a little flipped. I am kind of with you, Chris, though, with some of these homages. We're getting to a point where it might be borderline of just copying or retelling the story, but because there did seem like an awful lot of them, especially in these first couple episodes, especially seemed like 2, 3, and 4. There was just bam, 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 bam. So
well, even in episode 4, there was one that was I don't know if you guys saw. This one was a bit more subtle. At the restaurant, there was a table of people eating a giant tuna head.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was right. I saw that
too. Yeah. So I'm definitely I like the way that it's going. I like I like the feel. I definitely like that creepy factor though of finding that sense that there is something bigger behind the Frontier fleet than what's being. Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of it. And Chris, it's going to be 25, 26 episodes, or has that been still confirmed? Or
it hasn't been entirely confirmed, but given that from what I've seen, the home video release will be 9 volumes.
Okay.
That's usually the standard in Japan for a 26 episode series.
Okay.
Of course, they could be going for, based on the show's popularity, they could be going the 2-season route like with Geass and 00. So we don't know, but I would say at least 26 episodes. We'll have to find out more as time goes on.
The original Macross did it when they had the 13-episode extension, so it wouldn't surprise me if this show kind of got a second season or at least an extension of sorts. I personally enjoyed the show. I thought it was neat to just kind of get that deja vu feeling again, that old charming feeling that Macross gives, the people who really love the show. And although there's a lot of homages there, I'm sure the show will kind of hit its own stride eventually. And I'm sure that there'll be homages to the other Macross shows too, plus 7, 0, of course, because of the whole Vaja and, all sorts of other things. But I'm loving the show so far. I wouldn't say as much as Code Geass or 00, but it's a nice change of pace.
I think there definitely is going to be at some point the Vajra revealed, and I think that given that almost every Macross show has somehow connected back to the protoculture, I have some theories. I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the opening, there's some kind of weird-looking guy who hasn't been shown yet, and there's also a kind of weird-looking plane in shadows that's shown flying opposite Alto's VF-25, so I'm thinking that's potentially the actual enemy. And that these lobsters things are just scouts. So my 2 theories are, one, that the Vajra are another race who are created by the protoculture just like humans and Zentradi. One possibility.
Right.
One thing that I think might be more likely is that the Vajra are the protoculture.
Oh.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense too.
Because it was said that, they were destroyed long ago, war and yada yada, but I can't believe that every single one of them perished. Some group had to have escaped somewhere and maybe carried on their civilization somewhere else, very far out in the edge of the galaxy, and now they're coming back in because, Macross has never been just about having random aces. All the aces are connected, and it's almost always from the starting point of the protoculture.
What about the girl they showed at the opening, the one with the kind of the blondish greenish hair and kind of has like the black lines on her face? She kind of shows her looking up, and that's another character we haven't been introduced to yet, but I don't think she's affiliated with anybody on board the Macross. And on top of that, what were your thoughts on that character? You think she might be with the Vajra as well?
I don't recall seeing her. I'll have to check again. But one that definitely jumped out at me was that weird-looking guy, and then the strange shadowed plane shown sort of like in opposition to Alto.
Yeah, the old anime staple of the shadowed nemesis that we won't see, and we'll unshadow him once he gets introduced.
My last question is, and I forgot to look this up, I know that the OP and ED are sung by Maya Sakamoto and composed by...
Not the end.
Not the end? Oh, okay, got it. But the beginning one is composed by Yoko Kanno also, who does the soundtrack of the entire show.
Yoko Kanno.
Does she really do the soundtrack of the show? I was listening to it, and it's like, that sounds like Yoko, too. I wanted to ask you to find out, and I'm glad to hear it. It's good to hear her do another show, another Macross even.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed when she wasn't doing the Go for Zero, but Shoji Kawamori had said that he wanted to have some musical variety, which is fine. You know, he had somebody else do Zero, and the music for that was good, and now Yoko's back once more with that special touch. Other than that, I don't have any other thoughts. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what happens, and then we'll be back here again in a month, Macross Frontier month 2. So with that, we're just going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Gundam at MAHQ.
I'm not going to say it's the best car in the world, but it's going to move for us.
Yeah, now hold on now, baby. Let's just see if this thing's got under the hood first.
There she is.
Looks like the Pep Boys threw up.
Damn.
Like I said, work in progress.
Camille, why is it so quiet?
Shh. You'll tire yourself out if you talk. We'll head back once things have calmed down a bit. Just hang on a little longer.
It'll be okay. Huh, Camille?
Lieutenant.
Listen.
Was this some kind of theater?
You've always been quite the actor, but if you decline a role in my show, this may be your final curtain call.
No, because you see, there's another actor.
You might suppose so, but I'm merely a witness to history. I don't let myself get carried away like Shar does.
So you're saying I get too emotionally involved?
Exactly. You want to bend the entire world to your own will.
In that case, Shar, why don't you help me restore the Zabi family? Just consider how we could reshape the world together.
Don't you understand? I just don't want to guide this world in the wrong direction. Even without my guidance, humanity will change as it awakens to its new type gifts. I am content to wait for that time.
If you really don't understand how this world works, then it's better that you remove yourself from it.
You're wrong!
Rekua, didn't you hear Katz's voice a little while ago?
Why?
He's gone. And Captain Hankin too. Don't tell me you didn't feel anything. Everyone felt it. And everyone cried in their hearts for those two when they died. You know, Rekua, I don't think anyone will shed a tear for you when you're gone. Is that what you want?
I don't care if anyone weeps for me. This is the way I've chosen to live my life.
Rekua! Lieutenant Emma! But I can't.
Yes, you can. You can end this battle. You're the only one who can do this. There are so many people who are watching over you. Remember that you're not alone. We're all with you, so don't feel lonely.
Everyone's dying. They're all dying one by one.
Camille!
The people who need to be removed are the ones whose souls are dragged down by the Earth's gravity. However, even that cause doesn't justify killing so many people. What's the point of building a new world if people can't live their own lives in it?
Common people are only capable of holding back true genius. They're good for nothing.
That's not true.
Camille, get out now.
Go on without me. I'll finish this right now.
I am not leaving without you. Now move it!
But you still have so much left to do. All the people who died in this war believed they were giving up their lives to save the world.
Do you actually think the world will be saved if kids like you continue to give up their lives? The old generation can't build the new era, Camille.
Well, that's what you think, Shar.
What the?
Shall we end it here, Shar? Or would you rather live?
You'll never be able to beat me, boys!
I can't forgive him! Even if it costs me my body and soul, he has to be punished! Don't you understand? Monsters like him can't be allowed to live!
Neo, the controls are dead! What's wrong? Why isn't it moving?
Be gone from this world!
I won't die alone. I'm gonna take your soul with me when I go. Camille, be done.
Lieutenant Emma, Camille be done? Let's do it.
Cute's a relative term. I'm more concerned about my goddamn dessert.
Welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and along with Soulbro and Chris, I'm going to be going into one of our other segments here. This is kind of a general mech-related subject here. We're going to explore basically our favorite captains of mecha series, everything spanning from Gundam to Macross to whatever's out there. So a captain is always the most important piece of a ship. As with any mech show, you usually have, the angry protagonist and, his villainous antagonist. But the one character that always kind of stands out for everybody is the captain. And in a lot of ways, I think, especially as we see for examples of like a Mr. Bright Noah, that they come to be like the centerpiece or the unifying piece to all continuing sagas throughout these shows. We're just going to kind of go around here, throw out a couple of the people that we what we like, what shows are from, and just some of the reasons why we like them. Which one of you guys wants to go first?
Chris.
By
all means.
Of course, this being Gundam, how could we not start with the slapper, the eater of hamburgers, the one and only Bright Noah.
Mr. Carnivore. Captain Carnivore.
Who likes salt in his burger, thank you.
Yes. We don't have any salt, Captain.
And with his robotic chair.
Baddest chair ever.
His chair of wonders.
So he's the eternal captain, and he's sort of the typical anime captain, which there's a stereotype even going back to like Yamato of old war veteran who will just sit there during the battle, and then right at the proper moment he'll say exactly what they need to do to win.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's always dead on.
Yep.
Well, Bright isn't that guy.
No.
He's thrust into the command role. Captain Cassius either gets killed in the TV show or hauled away in the movies.
Yeah.
And he's got, this brand new prototype battleship, all these new mobile suits, a bunch of rowdy civilians, and he's being chased by the most famous pilot of the Zeon. So he's got a lot on his hands for being someone who's just been in the forces for 6 months at the beginning of the original series.
Yeah.
He's sort of thrust into this position, and he comes off as a real hard ass, especially on Amuro, to the point where he says, go ahead and hate me if you want, I don't care. And he's really tough on Amuro throughout the whole series, throughout a lot of the series, but it's justified in large part because Amuro is so whiny and arrogant and
angsty,
problematic.
Yeah.
Emo.
At that point, not willing to step up and do his part, as powerful as he is. And, Bright had to get a rein on that, and I liked his approach. I mean, it's hard-handed. It lacked a little bit of tact, but you know what? He didn't have time for that. He was just learning the ropes himself, and, he had a lot of responsibility on his hands, and he did it well with the tools he had, even more so in other series that came after Mobile Suit Gundam. But yeah, Bright, I'd have to say, is probably my favorite captain of all time. To me, I equate him to the John Madden of captains. And why do I say that? Play a Super Robot Wars game. Who is the guy who's captaining the ship with all the characters on it? That would be Bright Noah.
Yeah, but
all Madden.
All
Noah.
I don't know.
The greats.
That's a weird comparison.
They serve underneath him. He's good to go. Well, I know you're the sports aficionado on the show, so maybe I got
John Madden's not even considered one of the greatest coaches. Who would
he be equated to then?
Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi. Okay, all Vince.
But
the Lombardi of captains.
Yeah.
There you go. But Neo, your take on Bright?
Well, are you not much more I can really add on that? Just the fact that what makes him very interesting is he's not afraid to make mistakes, and I think especially as his character develops throughout each one of the incarnations of the shows, you were talking about how he's so hard on Amuro, and he's just trying to help him from making mistakes himself, but he actually understands, and he starts to realize that mistakes are part of the learning curve, and he's not as heavy-handed towards the end with a lot of these people than what he was at the beginning, because he realizes he made lots of mistakes.
Exactly, like by Double Zeta, how he treats Judo.
Yeah,
and there's like a standout scene where he tells Judo, "It's like, look, I am so sorry." He's just very regrettive about the decisions that the AU made, and he tells him to hit him. He tells Judo to hit him, which is big, and Judo does it with barely any hesitation. And it was nice to see Bright actually put the ego down and let some justice get dispensed at his expense, but still. He was big enough to do that, and I find him admirable for that.
I don't know about that. I think by the time Double Zeta rolled around, Bright just gave up because he was just exhausted of war after war with a pack of bratty kids showing up and just being a pain in the ass. Because if you notice, after a while, he just gives up with Judo at the beginning of the show and just lets Judo do whatever the hell he wants because I think he's just too exhausted of dealing with this crap for so long.
He couldn't get off the new Argama quicker. He couldn't have them go into deep space faster.
Yeah. He's like, you guys are ready to stand on your own. You don't need me anymore. See you later. Bye.
Yeah. Here's a new ship. Here's some mobile suits.
Go for it. You take care of
Have
that.
fun.
Done.
Yeah.
Hence the chicken on his head.
Man, you had to mention the chicken on his head.
At least in Char's counterattack, he looked awesome. And he was awesome.
Yeah, Shark's counterattack. What I liked, just to wrap up Bright, as he developed, he went from being the inexperienced guy to a seasoned veteran, but also his development as a family man.
Yeah.
And you see that what I like is the way they depict his and Mirai's marriage is that the two of them see eye to eye on everything, and she knows what it is that he's fighting for and what it is he's risking fighting for by going up against the Titans, and she's okay with it. And, she's getting along and the children, in his place with him gone, and she knows what he's doing and she approves of it because she's a war veteran herself. So, a lot of times you have an anime like one person's doing something and the other one just doesn't get it, or they argue, or there's problems, yada yada. But these two, they're perfectly in tune with each other in that respect.
The wife didn't give him static. That's why he didn't cheat on her.
Well, there was that chick Emily from Double Zeta.
Oh, that's what I was. That's what I was saying. He was tempted, but he didn't end up doing it, and that's another reason why I dig Bright. Stand up guy.
So who's next with the captain?
Go ahead, Soul Bro.
Who, me?
Yeah. Who's your captain?
Oh, dude, we couldn't continue the subject anymore if we didn't bring up Captain Henry Global, I should say. I grew up with Robotech. He was Henry J. Global in that show, but of course he was the captain of the SDF Macross and Super Dimensional Fortress Macross. And to me, he is to this day, I think he's just one of the best captains there ever was on the ship. But granted, he could not do that job alone on that ship. As veteran as he was, he had probably the best crew he could possibly have on that ship. Misa Hayase and Claudia and the Bridge Bunnies and everybody. And man, I keep throwing in these Robotech references.
By the way, Robotech nitpick in Macross, he's actually J Global.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus. Bruno, I'm so sorry.
In Macross, they had him sort of as being, I think his background is Italian, and then in Robotech, they Russianified him.
Yeah, very true.
But either way, he still kicks ass in any version.
Yeah,
all day long. It's so much so that they even paid homage to him in Secret of Blue Water when they made Captain Nemo, and they made him look exactly like him. And am I wrong on this, or was the Japanese voice actor for Nemo also the same voice actor for Global as well? Because I think I remember reading that, but I'm probably wrong.
The internets say no.
Oh, I was
Bro's
right.
internet says yes.
But interestingly, he's the Japanese dub voice for Count Dooku.
Oh, really?
No.
From Star Wars?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
From those prequels that don't exist.
Yeah.
Those shameful examples of how you ruin your franchise.
Anyway.
But yeah, any other thoughts on good old Bruno?
More of the only thing is where like Bright kind of broke the mold. He's more or less in the mold of, like Chris said earlier, the classic anime ship captain, where he would at the right moment, we need to do this, we need to turn the shields or turn the ship or whatever. But definitely a good captain, and you can kind of see though he starts to get more accepting with the bridge crew and all the people he's having to deal with, because that was a really weird situation, kind of like Bright, where you have all of a sudden you have a lot of military people on there, but then you have to take care of all these civilians and not only have the thing of instilling military discipline on your subordinates, but having to answer for the whims and the daily needs and desires of these civilians,
and be the liaison between the people on that ship and the military that wouldn't allow the people to get back home, and he was a father figure to that entire crew, if not that whole ship later on in the series. He's an amazing guy.
Well, here's my thing. The thing about Global is, yeah, he fits into that mold, but at the same time, he's sort of a subtle parody on it, because when you think of that mold, you think of like the captain of the Yamato, who's always like a grizzled old gruff guy.
Yeah.
Where Global younger, he's more likable.
Yeah.
He's got some quirks, like always bumping his head on the door of the bridge.
Yep.
Always pulling out his pipe, and Shammy's telling him that he can't smoke on the bridge.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. So he kind of fits into that mold, but he also separates from it in certain ways. Those being some
very
true.
And that's true, and that's like I said. I mean, he closely resembles it, where Bright on the other hand was just a young faced kid straight out of the academy.
And since we're talking Macross, we can't go on without mentioning Captain Max.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, you talking from Macross 7 when
yeah,
when our friend Max Genius becomes a full-fledged captain.
Yes.
As opposed to, oh man, I wish I've seen 7 because Max Genius is my favorite anime character of all time. And reading that he became a captain of a ship, and he's like, I wouldn't say a big part of 7, but he's there and you see him often. And I heard he was an awesome captain. I mean, what's your take on him, Chris?
Whatever other faults Macross 7 has, and it does have quite a few, Max just kicks ass because he leads the Battle 7 into battle whenever is necessary. He sort of knows what to do at the right time, but sometimes even he's caught off guard by things, and he also makes mistakes, but he recovers from those sorts of things, and he's got ingenuity, which that was evident in the original. But just part of what makes him so kick-ass is that even in Macross 7, when he's 50, but doesn't look a day over, like, say, 25, he still is the best pilot, because at the end of the show, you see him pilot again. He's got a Sturmvogel, and there's this battle on Planet of the Garuda system, and you got all these Valkyries flying through this trench, kind of like Star Wars. It's like all these guys are fighting, and they're crashing because they're crappy pilots, and then there's this whole battle going on, and then Max, he just folds in right in the middle of that battle, flies by everybody, loses guys who are chasing him, destroys them all, and fires a nuclear missile at the enemy, which ends up not working, but it looked cool when he did it.
Dang it.
So, he's the captain, but he's also willing his men into the fight, and take the fighting of the enemy himself with his Valkyrie. And it's nice to see him also with Milia. She gets her own custom Sturmvogel, the two of them in blue and red teaming up again and fighting in the last battle there in Macross 7. So he sort of combines the best of both worlds, being a former pilot but still the experienced ship commander.
That's awesome. I really need to get down and watching some 7, because that just hearing what you just said has already got me excited to see it.
Well, that kind of brings a nice segue into one of my favorite captains, and unfortunately, this will be coming from a Gundam series, but not too unfortunately. But
go for it.
He was kind of a captain, I guess, more or less in his position, not necessarily ordained or commissioned by a particular group, but have to be old Jamil Neat, man, the captain of the Freedom.
Of course,
man, the jack of all trades,
being in the same aspect of
just like Max, pilot and captain.
Yeah, pilot and captain. And what's great about Jamil is, initially he has a phobia of getting into the cockpit of a mobile suit, and I'm not going to spoil it too much for anybody out there, but those that have seen the show know what I mean. But about halfway through the show, they procure another mobile suit, so they need more pilots, and he gets back in there. But what makes him great is not only is he's able to help out the Freedom and help out Garud and Wits and Robia, doing what they need to do, he actually puts Garud under kind of his tutelage and does more of a mentoring teaching thing when he shows him how to fight a new type and not having to use new type powers. And very idealistic person, very flawed captain, I think, in a lot of ways, because of what had happened.
He was really
in his
haunted.
past, and I think that sometimes kept him from always being more aggressive than what he needed to be.
Right.
A lot of times he held back too much because he was afraid that if I do this, it'll escalate into this, and it will cause what happened years ago. But good captain, great tactics. Had mad respect from his people and for his people. One of the, sometimes you can always have that as like kind of a character flaw with a captain, maybe caring too much about certain characters. But in this way, it was different because, like I said earlier, they weren't a commissioned, they weren't in a commissioned force. He was just kind of the captain of this ship of people that just kind of came together because there's nothing else going on. And these, he's actually more like a pirate captain more than anything, because they were vultures, and what vultures were they would just go around, steal stuff from people and sell it off. So very unique captain, and one of the few captains outside of Bright Noah that really stands out to me in any of the series. So any thoughts?
I agree completely.
Okay.
I thought he was the MVP.
And another favorite captain though of mine, and I guess it could be kind of a mech show. They got some mechs in it, is the old original pirate captain himself, Captain Harlock.
Of course.
Just because he's dope. Yeah. But that's all I can say on that. Watch any of the shows or any of the movies. You'll see how dope he is.
Yes, he is. He's the captain.
The captain of all captains.
He is the captain of all captains.
Like the Lord of Lords.
The Lord of Lords. He is the Alpha, the Omega when it comes to command.
That's what I'm saying.
So, any other ones that you guys may have? Or
I off the beaten path, a newer one.
Sure.
That's
go for it.
Mobeed from Heroic Age.
Oh, okay.
All right.
He's sort of the experienced older captain, but what stands about him is that he's got a lot of ingenuity in dealing with pretty much a hopeless situation, because in this show you've got humanity is at war with these other species, and they're all after the technology and the knowledge of these people who are called the Golden Tribe.
Right.
And there's a Silver Tribe and Bronze Tribe who are competing as well. The Bronze Tribe works for the Silver one, and then you have humanity, which is the Iron Tribe, and they're the weakest. So weak that they got chased away from Earth, and their technology is far less advanced.
Yeah, wow.
So they're sort of fighting against impossible odds, because the Silver Tribe wants no less than to completely wipe them out. And, he's on this ship with the princess of their people, and they're on this quest to find this person who in prophecy is supposed to help them. And he's up against impossible odds all the time, because, they have, hordes and hordes of enemies attacking with much more advanced technology, and they just have, Mecha and not, the fancy advanced technology that these other races have. And he's got to deal with incompetence of the princess's brothers, who, are just a bunch of arrogant twits who, when they take command of the fleet, lead to near disaster 2 times and end up blowing up Mars.
Ooh, Mars?
Just to try to fight the enemy, yeah.
Oops.
Or was it Jupiter? I don't remember.
Holy.
Oops.
Wow.
to the point that even the aliens are like, what is wrong with these people? They'll destroy a planet in their own star system. They're barbarians. But he's just a guy who's always in command. He's got that sort of commanding voice, and he deals with all situations, and he always keeps a cool head, and comes up with a way for everyone to survive. So definitely Mobeed from Heroic Age. If you haven't seen the show, it's a great show. A lot of people are turned off of it because it has character designs by Hisashi Hirai from Seed.
Oh,
but
okay.
Put those character designs aside, and it's a very good show. So definitely Mobeed. Watch Heroic Age. We'll have to talk about that show in depth someday.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Any one for you, Sobro?
Well, I have 2 that come to mind.
Okay.
One of them you guys will probably say, hell no. But, my first one is Alan Shazar from Vision of Escaflowne. That guy was awesome. That guy was awesome. He was not only a fighter, but a captain of his own ship. Albeit small, he was the captain. I guess later on they team up with Falcon, but they were rolling pretty much solo before that. And he was an experienced guy. He was kind of a stand-up knight. Kind of he was by the book, but his beginnings were kind of rough. There was a time where he was kind of a cutthroat bandit, and then he kind of got reined in by one of the best characters in the series. What was that samurai's name? The samurai that taught Vaughn how to fight too.
Also,
Balgus.
Yeah,
Balgus. Yeah, and he kind of brought him into a new way of being, and he became a standout captain. And later on, got very tied into the plot because of things with his sister and whatnot. I won't give away that whole plot thread, but yeah, I liked Alan a lot, and he really impressed me in Escaflowne. The other captain I'm kind of fond of is female captain, and that would be Yurika Mizumaru from Nadesco.
Nadesco?
Oh man,
I had a feeling you would mention.
I love Yurika. Yeah, she's like the captain, the little captain that could. As much as I like Ruri as a captain who becomes a captain later on, Yurika to me was like the captain that should have never been, but did the job well anyway. And given the circumstances, as comedic as that show was, and I really missed her in the Nadesco movie. But then again, we can't get in that right now because that would incite fights. But Yurika, she had the high-tech ship run by a corporation, which you never see in any mech show, really. Actual ship, not run by the military, but by a corporation. She was picked as almost an idol. Huh? What's that?
Dygard.
Yeah, very true. Dygard, but then again, Dygard's made by the same team practically, which wouldn't surprise me. But they didn't have a ship, but just like a ship with suits on it that was run by a corp, and she was picked as almost on the basis of like how Japan picks an idol, for singing and whatnot. She was kind of picked. Like they would pick
American captain.
Yeah, American captain, basically.
Japanese captain.
And just
text your vote to 644.
Very unconventional, And although she was eye candy, she was just a very interesting captain nonetheless, and made a great dynamic between her and Akito. And I like Yurika. I put her up there.
Well, if you're gonna mention Yurika, I'm gonna have to one up you.
Oh, go for it.
Just see Ueki Tyler.
Ooh, wait. Oh, you're talking about Captain Tyler? Oh no,
Captain Tyler. And he counts because his show had mecha. They were strange pink power armor piloted by a bunch of gruff-looking Marines, but they were mecha.
Yeah, his show did have mecha, didn't it?
Here's a guy who,
Yeah.
his attitude and just seeming ineptness is dwarfed by just his amazing luck or skill. I think the jury's still out on that, but he's just an eternal optimist, and everyone thinks he's a damn clown, but he always manages to come up with a good solution in the end, and eventually people start to see things his way and realize that he's not an idiot, and that he in fact is probably a genius who just has a very strange attitude and strange personality.
An idiot savant.
Kind of.
Pretty much. But at least from appearance, if anything. But yeah, I need to watch all the Irresponsible Captain Tyler. Yeah, and that show was hilarious. And I definitely give you props on that pick.
I guess one captain that I'll just kind of, unless you guys have any other ones, but one that
I have one more, but go ahead.
It's always, I don't necessarily know if it's a favorite one, but he does kind of stand out to me and made a lot of impression. Was and I'm sure Chris could probably put more into this too after I'm done. Is Best Jordan from Ideon.
Yeah.
Best Jordan.
And the thing I liked about him was the fact of he could have just gave up and went home. And especially once they get with the they meet up with the Earth fleet in the show, and of course they want the Ideon. But he had such a respect and a relationship trying to help these people that in a lot of ways didn't like him. None of the Ideon's pilots really listened to what he had to say. He was always in fights with Cosmo, it seemed like.
Wow.
He did everything he could to get these people back and try to get them back to Earth or back to their home and keep everybody safe. But he was always at the wit's end, and it didn't help that they're getting chased by the Buff Clan, then they're getting chased by the Earth forces, and he's having to deal with all of his people around him, except for Krala. She was the only one that would, that helped him out and kind of supported him. But he, I don't know, I just had kind of like really a lot of respect for that type of character, because I think in a lot of ways, if any of us were in the same situation, when we had the first opportunity to get out of it, we would have gotten out of it.
Yeah, and he was in an impossible situation where, unlike in a lot of other series, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and never got better.
Oh, jeez.
It's like first the Buff Clan, then Earth,
and
then everybody, and then people start dying, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until finally when you're at the level of what's going on in Be Invoked, it's like, man, it's amazing that this guy hasn't cracked yet and just gone insane.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, and Chris, you'll probably agree on this, is in every one of these shows, you always have kind of the pilot captain fight. There's always an argument, but my God, it seemed like in every episode they were fighting. I mean, Cosmo didn't want to do this. He thought Bess was trying to hurt everybody, or thought he was doing this or hiding that, and it was just nonstop. I don't know how anybody wouldn't crack.
Well, Cosmo was just a dick.
They were all horrible. I mean, but he kept plugging on. And
Tomino must have just strove to make the most unlikable cast in the history of anime, huh?
Pretty much, because when we're talking in Super Tomino Wars, the only characters that I find really likable in that show are Bess and Kerala.
Yeah, they're the only ones. And I mean, he just stands out. I mean, when you see that show, he's an unconventional captain, because once again, he's kind of like Bright in that whole aspect. He's just kind of thrown into this whole situation. He was like the highest ranking he was part of the militia or like the colony defense force or something, Chris?
Yeah.
I can't really remember too much. I hadn't seen it in a while, but and everybody's looking at him to, make these decisions, and at first he doesn't want to do it, and he doesn't know what to do. And then just having to deal with these unruly citizens, but yeah, he's definitely up there for me. I mean, I guess maybe more of us a sympathy vote, but geez, but Soulbro, you said you had one more. Real quick.
I'll touch upon. I two came to mind. One of them I'll touch on. This one you're gonna love, but I can't remember his name, and you'll have to help me with this. But the director of Alvis on Fafner.
Oh, Maccabee, Commander Maccabee.
Yeah, Maccabee. I mean, the stuff here that he had to go through and the trials he put these children through and had no choice but to do so. I think, to me, he stands out a lot more than, say, a lot of people probably bring up, anybody in Nerve and Evangelion, but I think Makabe, he was a bit more admirable for the fact that he knew what he was doing and he felt sorry for it.
In other words, he was Gendo Ikari, but nice.
He was Gendo Ikari, but he was more human, if anything.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I'd kind of agree with that because they had hard decisions to make too. Yeah. And he had to put up with a lot of junk. With everybody trying to betray him and everybody trying to tell him what to do, and a
lot of cloak and dagger things going on behind the scenes, and
losing
all that.
Basically the relationship with his son, and having to go through the whole thing of thinking his son had defected, and I would definitely put that up there. But what was your other one?
My other one is not so much a captain of a ship or kind of a military group, but a team. The director of Section 9, Aramaki. Your boy Hayachi. Yeah.
Mini Heihachi.
Chibi Mahashi.
Chibi. But he is, for his size and his age, he knows the ins and outs of the Japanese government, how everything plays out. He's seen a lot of things go down. He runs Section 9, not with an iron fist, but just with an efficiency that's incredible, of course, with the help with the major and Bateau and the rest of the group, but he keeps things tightly organized, and even when the chips are down with Section 9, he still has he still has a way out for them.
And he had to make a lot of hard decisions.
A lot of hard decisions, and Aramaki, just every time you see him in the show, it's always a great moment because he's always going to be he's always ahead of the game, no matter what's going on. He's always ahead of the game. And even as an old man, he's probably the oldest of all the captains we've discussed.
Right.
Even as an old man, he's still he hasn't missed. His mind hasn't aged today. It's like a steel trap, literally.
But I could see that. But Chris, any last thoughts or anybody else that came to mind before we kind of wrap this up?
2 honorable mentions, not necessarily favorites, but deserve some mention. The first one would be Daitetsu Minase from Super Robot Wars Original Generation. The guy kicks ass, and he's literally the embodiment of the grizzled old captain who always knows what to do at the right time.
Right. Oh, wow.
But he just does it in style anyway. And another one that's kind of off the wall would be Gari Kinsey from Zeta Gundam.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of the dark bright. He's an experienced veteran. He's very good with ship tactics, and in that one episode he actually managed to outwit Bright.
When
they did that trap in Side 2 with the abandoned colonies, and he totally lured Bright in and had him hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
And he didn't agree with a lot of the things the Titans did, and that created problems later on when he would just come up with excuses to not do colony gassings, like saying the ship was broken or something like that, and they had to fix it. And he was just sort of even though he was part of the Titans hierarchy, he was still kind of his own man and did his own thing and didn't necessarily agree with everything the Titans did.
Yeah, definitely.
He was all right.
I almost forgot about that guy.
Yeah.
But now that you bring that up, he was he was like the only Titan that you had any type of respect or kind of kinship for, because all the other ones, oh man.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He was the really skinny. He was kind of skinny, withered looking.
Yeah, he was the captain of the Alexandria after Jamaican got blown away.
Thank you. Yeah, like it looked like his uniform was a little bit too big for him. Yeah, that's definitely the guy that I was thinking of too.
And I guess an honorable mention, it would be and I'll just kind of hit this and we can wrap this up, but would be because it brings up Captain Synapse from Stardust Memories. In a show that we talked about where there's a lot of people you just can't stand.
Yeah.
In that one, between outside of Gato, he was the only other real character that really kind of stood out because once again, kind of doing his own thing, and you're seeing that. You're seeing how the Titans are starting to get into the Federation, some of the decisions they were making, and he actually took it. He went against them so much that he actually gets imprisoned at the end. Jeez. So he's kind of an honorable mention for me. But
mind if I have one honorable mention?
All right.
And y'all, I'm sorry if this hurts y'all feelings, but I do believe Masato from Evangelion does get a little bit of credit. Just a little bit. Just really. A little bit. I lost all credibility with you guys, but I'm sorry. I do like Masato. That's just me.
But
some of her tactics did work.
We'll edit that part out. Right. But that's some of our thoughts and some of our favorite captains. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but we'd probably be going on for quite a long time. But definitely, any of the listeners out there, hit us up with some of your responses, or maybe some people that we have forgotten up on the Mecha Talk forums at mahq.net. And we're going to be ending this segment, and we'll be back in a little bit. You're listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Go away, Todd. If you want to come in, you are going to have to break down the goddamn door.
Look at that!
This is Soul Bro Review, and when you have a free moment, check out these cool websites. MAHQ.net. And that stands for the Mecha and Anime Headquarters. They have information and reviews on a variety of animes, as well as specs on Mecha from your favorite series. Check out the forums and see what the regulars are saying about Mobile Suit Gundam 00. AEUG.blogspot.com. And that website is Ganada. And that's your #1 news site for all things Gundam. But watch out for those spoilers on Gundam 00 though. www.myspace.com/FTS Shinjuku. And that's for the podcast that started it all. Flip the script. Anime, video games, movies, TV, and music are a few of the subjects that are tossed about in a roundtable discussion by 6 very different individuals. Boy Wonder, Dr. Encyclopedia Black, Lee Majors, and Shoji Ramuro, as well as the host of Gundam, Neo Lorinoke, and Sobro Ryu. GundamOfficial.com. That's Gundam OFFICIAL.com. And that's for the official website of Gundam, of course. It's managed by the guru of Gundam himself, Mark Simmons. For those who had missed out on Simmons' mega fan site and extensive wiki of mobile suits in the late 90s, labeled the Gundam Project, now's your chance to see the second coming of it at GundamOfficial.com. www.myspace.com/Gundam the show. That's GUNDAMN the show. And last but not least is the website for the unofficial podcast for all things Gundam and Mecha, Gundam. Check us out on MySpace, and if you're a member, add us as a friend and give us your opinions on the Mecha series you enjoy. Peep these cool websites when you get a minute. Now, back to
Fix this goddamn door!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gundam at MAHQ. As you've seen in past episodes, we've talked at length and exhaustively about Gundam 00. So now that the show is off the air, we're kicking off a new segment, the Gundam Roundup, where we're going to be discussing all of the previous Gundam shows in production order. So, of course, the best place to start here is with the original. So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the original Gundam series, both the TV show and the movie. And obviously, we're not going to be talking about plot points here and like we do with Anime Spotlight of introducing a show, because if you're listening to this show, you've probably seen the original series, and if you haven't, well, what's your damn excuse? We're mainly going to be doing sort of our thoughts on the movie and the TV show. So I'll kick it off to you guys first, whoever wants to pick up. Thoughts on the TV show. What sort of things did you like or didn't like about what it did?
Well, to me, the TV show was a breath of fresh air. I remember watching it on I remember watching the promos for it on Toonami when it was getting ready to air, and being surprised that actually
with Peter Cullen.
Yeah, with Peter Cullen doing that wonderful voiceover. It's like that man can do a trailer so well. It's like him and Don Fontaine, but I'm getting off subject. But when I saw the trailer for that show, I got really excited because watching Wing and falling in love with that show, I was finally glad to finally see the show that actually originated the entire series. But at the same time, I was kind of heavy-hearted because I had a feeling it probably might not go well with the normal Toonami crowd. But I was happy to see it because I was used to watching older shows like that. And when watching the show, I easily got swept up in the storyline. I mean, I always love a good chase story. And that's how the beginning of Mobile Suit Gundam starts out, kind of like a travel log, but at the same time they're being pursued. You got this main reluctant character, kind of the definitive reluctant pilot, Amuro Ray, who gets thrust in a situation where he's got to pilot this new mobile suit, and he turns out to be a natural, very antisocial, but at the same time an intriguing character along with the rest of the cast and crew. And I was really swept up in it. I didn't think I'd get as passionate about that show as I did by the time it was reaching its end. But pretty much just watching the show from jump, I loved it from the first episode.
Well, I'd have to say, I was also excited after watching Wing and had hearing about, Gundam, not the podcast, but that's how it would seem like it was always talked about over here until it was brought over. I definitely was looking forward to watching it, and the only thing though that as great as it was, the only problem is especially in the television series, is some of the crazy stuff like a lot of the super robot stuff, like the mid-air transformations, the G armor and the G bull and the G fighter, and that kind of crazy stuff. And and the only other thing I'd have to say that I didn't like too much about the original series was how, especially towards the middle of the show, the animation got really bad. And I can kind of forgive older animation, but sometimes when it just gets kind of lazy and sloppy, it does get a little. It does take some of the excitement and draws your attention away from the story. But getting to see the iconic characters like Char Aznavour and Bright Noah, even Armoro, even though I'm not a huge Armoro Ray fan, just seeing how they developed throughout the show was nice to see, especially the thing of despair and death with like the loss of Ryu and like the loss of Lieutenant Matilda and all those other characters was kind of interesting. The only problem is it does get that rushed ending because it was unfortunately canceled and they had to cut it short. So it does kind of leave you one of those things with the what if, what would happen at the end, but that gets kind of taken care of through the movies. So I guess I'll talk about the movies in a little bit, but Chris, what are your thoughts on the original television show?
Before me, Solbro, anything you didn't like about the TV show?
Probably the fact that it was cut too short. It was never fully realized, and the whole new type echo came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You could kind of see it hinted towards, but it really wasn't. It wasn't a gradual move. It was kind of like just hit you over the head. It was done much better in the movies, which we'll definitely get into shortly, and far better in the book. But we already talked about the book earlier. But no, the shortness of the series and the fact that by the end of the show they were using so much animation, it's sad, but it's not their fault. I mean, they ran out of money and they barely got the extension they needed in order to finish the show. So I commend Tomino and his team for doing what they did. And later on we got the Gundam they intended with the movies, and those are just minor nitpicks.
Oh, I mean, I'll have to say just before we kick it off to Chris I hit some. I think I hit a lot more negatives than I did positives. I do love the show, and I think it's definitely one of those shows that any anime watcher, I think that you need to watch, even if you're not into mecha genre, in the mecha genre, because a lot of the things that you see that happen within the show that were developed went over to other animes and other movies and such, with the Red Rival and the anti-hero and the reluctant emo protagonist and all this other stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that I had too many negatives on the on the show. I definitely think it's great, but there were some glaring missteps and things along the way. So
it still stands as the template of real robot shows, though, and I gotta give that show all the credit in the world for that.
Well, since you mentioned the show being cut short, Solbro, we should probably mention how the story was going to be vastly different had the show originally gone to the 52 episodes that it was scheduled for.
Definitely.
Way back in 1997, Gundam expert Mark Simmons did a translation on the first version of the Gundam mailing list, a brief summary of how the original version was going to play out. Some of the things you would have seen, I'm looking at the outline here, Cassilia attacking Luna 2 with White Base there fighting, lots of different mobile suits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Would the GMs been introduced a lot sooner than what they were?
No, the divergence occurs in the late 30s, like after Solomon.
Okay.
So everything up to Solomon was about the same.
Right.
It's everything that happens after that starts to change.
Okay.
Let's see here. We've got a few episodes with the White Base at Luna 2, and sort of the same thing. The Gundam gets the magnetic coating, and a bit different here. Amuro's father is captured by the Flanagan Institute.
What?
Wow.
Any
reason why, or are they just...
That's a difference. He didn't meet his dad on Side 6. He must have been captured by the Zeon if they sweep through the area of Side 7 and found his dad out there.
Found him, yeah. And probably knew who he was immediately.
Would Cusco Al would have shown up in the TV show, or...
Cusco Al does show up in the TV show, but from what I remember, I think it's a totally different character with the same name.
Oh, man. But that would have still been cool.
You have Cassilia attacking a Federation fleet that's on its way to Granada with space Adzams.
Oh, wow. No way.
Which just sounds really funky.
That does.
And the Federation, they conquer Granada. It doesn't seem clear here if Cassilia dies, but according to this summary, she tells Char and Lala to escape. Sounds like she dies.
Oh, wow.
So we have here the Federation, they occupy Granada as part of their plan to invade Side 3, just sort of the same way that they occupy Solomon to use it as a staging ground.
Right.
Here we're now in the mid-40s.
Right. We'd probably saw Lala in the actual Zeon uniform like in the Girian's Ambition games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a new character named Pacadelia, who's some new type underling.
Right.
And during a battle, there's a battle with Amuro and Lala, and she thinks that Lala is consorting with the enemy and kills Lala.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought Lala died in a different way, because I do remember hearing.
Yes.
I don't know if it was Mark Simmons. I'm sure it was probably somewhere I read about his these translations, but. Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Ultimate
I
Mark,
knew that
I
she
think.
was going to die different.
Which is a huge, huge change.
Yeah.
But according to this summary, it says here that regardless, Char blames Amuro for what happened. And then this person, Pacadelia, gets killed by Kai and Hayato.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
Moving on, we have Char personally meeting Giran, but he's so obsessed with fighting Amuro now that he doesn't take the opportunity to kill Giran when he can.
Wow.
Right on.
So... moving on, we have Degwin wants to negotiate for peace and meets up with White Base, and his secretary comes with him, Cusco Al.
Right.
But it's not the same character at all from the novels, and Bright sort of falls for her.
Oh, no way. So Bright even gets a little gets a little love struck before he ends up with Mirai. That's crazy.
What about Slager? Does he die the same way?
Yeah, he already died in Solomon.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
So we have Giran sending a mobile suit team to attack the White Base and kill his father.
Oh, wow. No way.
And he gets killed, but Bright rescues Cusco Al, and Amuro believes that she's a spy, but Bright
of course
defends her. Apparently, it turns out she is a spy.
No way.
Of White Base moving over to Side 3, and they encounter refugees from the colony that's been taken over to be turned into the solar ray.
Wow.
Oh, right on. So they actually expand upon
solar
ray or the colony laser or whatever they want to call it. But yeah, that's right.
Turns out Cusco Al really is a spy.
Right.
And she gives him some warning about Federation operation. And according to the summary, Mirai takes over as the ship's captain while Bright leaves the ship to track her down and kill her.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool.
While in the meantime, Amuro fights some more, new type cannon fodder.
Right.
And as we move along...
Does Xiaoyu Bull have a bigger part than what he did in the show?
According to this summary, he doesn't, but he has a bunch of new type cannon fodder underlings who keep mentioning him.
Oh, the monsters of the week.
Yeah.
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 I like that they so I guess General Revel's killed in a different way than because he wasn't. He probably still gets killed by the solar cannon.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Well, let's see here because we still have. This is at this point where we're at is episode 50 of the planned version. We have Amuro setting off for Side 3's Colony 38 to discover the secret of the solar ray, and Char fights him in a mobile suit called the Garaba,
right,
which might be mentioned up ahead what that is, but the thing is in the original outline, a lot of the mobile suits that were going to be introduced later had name swaps.
Ooh, huh.
So in the outline, the Gelgu was referred to as the Geon.
Right.
So you had all these name swaps of weird names for mobile suits and mobile suits that never existed and yada yada. It says here that Amuro beats up Char and single-handedly destroys the solar ray.
Oh my god.
And wounded Char goes back to Giran, and he realizes it by helping Giran. He not only didn't get revenge on the zombies, but he's helped Giran take out the Federation because Giran managed to fire the solar ray and destroy the entire Federation fleet.
Wow. He bought him the time he needed.
Yeah, so he realizes, oops, made a mistake there.
I'm sure
wait
he
a minute.
corrects it.
In the original outline of the show, does the RX-78-3 make an appearance, or does he still have the -2 throughout the whole show?
Still has the 2, but with the magnetic coating.
Okay.
Right.
And let's see here. So we're getting into the end of the show. And Amuro decides to go after Giran personally.
Right.
So the white base heads toward MAHQ by itself. And sort of the same thing of, the white base attacking MAHQ. And the Gundam gets defeated by the Jigen. You guys ever seen this thing?
I've heard of it, but I'm trying to think what it is. I think
It's this dumb-looking, like, Xeon gun tank that was later recycled for MSX.
Right.
It is the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen.
Oh
yeah.
Well, no, that's not true because there's some other hideous looking stuff in MSX. So
Cuneo.
let me retract on that. But
and don't forget the Zaccarello.
Yeah.
The Zaccarello.
But this thing's pretty stupid looking, especially to think that this thing defeated the Gundam.
Yeah.
So it gets trashed, and then the rest of the crew go into hand-to-hand combat, breaking into Giran's hideout, and Char goes over there as well.
So the whole crew gets in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're all attacked by Giran's Royal Guard, and Amuro's the only one to make it there, and he confronts Giran personally and finds out that Giran has set the whole fortress to self-destruct.
Oh man.
And then
classic form.
Amuro shoots Giran and kills him.
Amuro does it, huh? I figured it would have been Char that would have done it, but wow, that's awesome.
Yep. So then everybody runs out of MAHQ, and he gets to the wreckage of the Gundam and does the whole same thing, telepathically warning everybody to get the hell out, and the white base doesn't get destroyed because they all make it back to the white base, and that's how they escape from the fortress. And Char sort of vanishes.
So there's no moment where Sayla, Char, and Amuro, finally, they have that discussion or whatever. That's not in the finale of the show like it is in the finale of the way the animated series turned out.
Oh, who knows? I mean, this is just sort of a brief synopsis of what that outline was. So
very true.
Taking that into mind, I think that canceling, if that's the way it was going to end, I really don't like that at all.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
It's a bit less cerebral, and it's got
more. It continues the problems that the show had, which is Monsters of the Week.
Yeah.
We don't need Monsters of the Week. That ending sort of limits any possibility of the show being continued, which is something that Tomino was famous for.
Yeah.
He's said in the past that he likes to kill characters at the end of shows so he doesn't have to make sequels. He seems to be pretty sequel over. That pretty much would have been the case here. There wouldn't have been much of a basis for Zeta Gundam.
No.
Very true.
And other things like Lala not being killed by Amuro is a huge difference because I think that's one of the defining moments for his character. That
very true.
He liked this girl and so did Char, and that Amuro killed her. I mean, I think it's classic when the Elmeth blows up and he's sitting there in his cockpit crying and he says, "I've done something that I can never make right."
It's like the tragedies of myths back in the day. It's just something that really defined his character all throughout the rest of the Gundam.
Like the myth of King Arthur.
Yeah, very true.
Well, the other thing it sounds like too is it kind of underscores the desperation of getting out of a MAHQ because as even though that the series was cut short, the television series was cut short, especially the last episode when the escape from a MAHQ. I mean, it's pretty desperate, and when you're first watching it, you're thinking that I don't know if any of these people are going to make it out, especially a lot of the crew.
And I like it better that the fact that a MAHQ was just being destroyed from all the fire from just the combined battle that was going on, not somebody setting a switch on a timer getting ready to have it self-destruct.
Yeah.
I mean that seems so James Bondish. It seems just played out. But I wonder how many of those ideas are going to actually end up in for those who don't know about Gundam the Origin, the manga series that's going on right now in Japan. I wonder how many of these ideas will actually cross over into that story. It just makes me wonder.
I don't know. I haven't kept track of the Origin in a long time, so I don't even know where they are. But things that I like about the TV show versus this outline, I like that Amuro doesn't confront Giren, that he never meets him, and that they separate sort of the political people from the military people, that Amuro is just a soldier on the battlefield.
Very true.
Fighting other soldiers, and he doesn't get caught up in... That just sounds... It just kind of like reminds me of this like Kira confronting Durandal at the end of Destiny, having this whole speech with him and trading back and forth philosophic barbs. So I like Amuro not even meeting Giren, not getting anywhere near him, and having nothing to do with the collapse of the Zeon leadership.
Yeah, it's far more real world.
Yeah, it's more realistic that way.
Yeah.
And one of the things I don't like about the TV show in general is just so many monsters of the week.
Yeah.
There's always some pilot who's like, oh, with this, I'll surely take down the Gundam. I mean, I think it's most comically illustrated with the Zaccarello, which I think has a total of 2 minutes of screen time. And Char's like, who the hell sent out that thing? I didn't even know we had that thing. I don't even know what the hell that thing is. And he's just really pissed off.
Terrible.
Exactly.
As ugly as that thing is, it's such a bitch to fight in the video games. I hate fighting that thing.
It is.
Just a side note.
Yeah, it does suck.
I can't stand the gimmicky stuff like the core fighter and the core blocks.
Yeah.
Doing all that in midair, transforming and yada yada.
Yeah.
And of course, don't even get me started on that disgusting G fighter. I really hate how they introduced this horrible gimmick, and it's like, oh, we have to go out with the G-Bull, we have to go with the G-Fighter, yada yada. When by the end of the episode, they always have to end up using the Gundam anyway.
Of course.
Yeah.
So what was the point in this stupid gimmicky thing?
Waste of resources.
And the other thing that bothered me about that too is, they sit here and they create the most advanced weapon, the RX-78, but then as support vehicles for it, they use basically the leftover parts. Didn't make too much sense. And then, like you said, they always needed the Gundam at the end. It was just,
that's why I like the supplemental series, since they actually show that in those series they were making other Gundams and whatnot too, and it kind of enriches the universe, because I kind of found it unrealistic that they'd only have one Gundam, but they got the plans to make others, and it's like, why not make another one? Why not try another suit? Why not have, like, in one episode a rival pilot of a Gundam who's said to be better than Amuro, and it turns out that he gets shown up because he's not nearly as good, like further on in the series, something like that. And
well, the thing is that we have to keep in mind that even though Gundam pretty much single-handedly created the real robot genre, it was still tied to the super robot genre in many ways, such as Amuro's dad being the creator of the Gundam, the hero team being 3 Mecha.
Very true.
So one of those staples of the old super robot shows was that the hero's mecha was unique.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was the one and only.
And brightly colored mecha.
It's good that the supplementals, the OAVs have added more, but we have to keep in mind, in the mindset of 1979, you didn't have that.
Yeah. Very true.
So even though Gundam broke a lot of barriers, there were still some things it couldn't do, and that was one of them at the time. I do like the fact that it created the real robot genre, robots as military weapons rather than things sent by evil space empires or built by mad scientists and that sort of stuff. I liked the characterization of Amuro as a guy who wasn't, one of these like eager, hot-blooded robot pilots,
right?
And other guys like Kai, who was a self-admitted coward.
Yeah.
It's not your typical set of robot pilots for the time. How you had development of even secondary characters like Kai and all of that, and
Hayato,
the whole thing was Sayla and Char and Break developing into a captain. The way the battles were done, some use of strategy.
The needing of salt in the one episode.
Yeah, the needing of salt.
The quest for salts.
You figure they just go to some rundown supermarket and grab some Mrs. Dash.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, and of course, the whole political subtext of how you have the Zabis constantly jockeying for political power for their own benefit to the very obvious detriment of the war effort as a whole, because the Zabis working together in unison,
they would have won,
and not infighting each other, they would have put up against the Federation, because, I mean, you got stuff like, if MAHQ had helped Ramba Ral and not just abandoned him because he was a dick, Ramba Ral with Richtums probably could have just totally destroyed the white base.
Oh, God. Ramba Ral would have put a bow on it. The whole situation. I mean, he almost took it over with just handguns and grenades and whatnot with men without suits. It's like that. You got to give that man a lot of credit. He tried. But if he had support from MAHQ, it would have been over.
Yeah, so imagine Ramba Ral with domes. I can't believe I think I just said Rick domes a second ago, but imagine Ramba Ral with a couple of domes.
Yeah, it'd have been over. It would have been.
You have things like that. Moving on to the movie series, what are some of the things that you guys liked about those?
Well, to begin with, the change of events. Some of the events happened in different order than what happened in the show.
Yeah.
Especially with Matilda's death was before Odessa?
I believe so.
And then it was
well, her Odessa anyway.
But
what they did was they sandwiched her death in between Ramba Ral and Ryu.
Yeah, that's right.
Ryu was still around during the time when she died.
Yeah, they moved Hamon getting revenge to after the encounter with the Black Tri-Stars, whereas in the TV show it was the next episode right after Ramba Ral died.
Jeez.
Which I thought was kind of lame when they did it, because it was sort of the exact same thing as way back in the Garma arc. And you had him dying, then the next episode you had Iselina going to get revenge, and then
Iselina dying.
And this was sort of a repeat of that.
Which I'm glad they took out the movie. Thank God for that.
Yeah, that's true. They did take that out.
How the heck did that even happen? How does Iselina, the daughter of some mayor,
the resistance, the resistance guy,
inspire these men to actually take up arms against the white base?
Well, not in the movies and in the TV shows. That's in the origin.
That's in the origin.
Yeah.
Very true. Oh, that's right. I forgot. And it's a completely different series in the origin too. I love the fact that it's in Hollywood in the origin, but that's just a side note. But I just don't know how she could actually just get these guys to just rally against the white base after the white base already totaled, whatever forces they already had left. It was a waste of time to me.
At least she had a fittingly bleak death. She tries to shoot Amuro, slips, and then just falls to her death.
Oh God, what a punctuation mark to that episode, though. I do give it that credit for that at least.
Well, I mean, everything with the movies. The first movie's pretty much the same. It's when you start getting to the second movie that you get a lot of the changes. When they get down to
missing Odessa.
Yeah, when they get down to Jaburo and they actually trade out the gun tank. Because even though the gun tank is the most awesome mobile suit ever,
retired.
It had to get retired because it made no sense having the gun tank in space. And then that's when you also get the, much to Chris's, enjoyment, the loss of the G fighter to the core boosters, which made a lot more sense to have a fighter that is one of those things where and like you said, back in 1979 when they're doing this, they didn't really know that they were making a whole new genre of mecha anime, but with that super robot feel, with having the G fighter in there, and it never made sense why they wouldn't have normal fighters on the white base as it was. So you get the core boosters. Then basically pretty much everything's kind of the same. You get, you get introduced to some new characters. Like
they brought in some characters from the novel in movie 3, like Cecilia Irene and Darcia Bakaroff.
Yeah.
That was another one of the differences. In movie 3, you have the whole Texas battle being moved to before Solomon, because in the TV show they went after Solomon to do like a cleanup, and then it got moved to before, and obviously the whole get out of jail free card for MAHQ.
Yeah, exactly.
Until if you count Char's deleted affair.
Yeah. He got that. He lost that card just as quickly and Char's deleted affair.
Well, that was quick.
That was uncharacteristically brave of him to do that. But we'll get to Char's deleted affair some other day.
Though he went out like a champ, though, I gotta say, in that book. I give him credit for that.
About champ.
Anything else, Paul, about the movie that you like?
I like the end where you get to see the Xeon. I think it was a Zanzibar that flies off, and you can see that Char's on there.
Guazine.
I'm sorry, I was trying to remember what ship it was.
The Great Escape.
Yeah. So you get kind of the confirmation that he did escape, and and it makes sense because Char was so good at scheming. Now, the movie also I'm trying to remember because I haven't seen both of them in a while, but the talk between Cassilia and Char is in the movie and not in the series, or is it in both?
It's in the series. I know that much.
It's in both.
Okay, I was just remembering.
I can't remember the movie.
So, all right, yeah, that's pretty much it. It flowed a little bit better. The battles were great. The complete loss of the super robot. The super robot formula was nice to see with the addition of the core boosters, and then Hayato getting a gun cannon. And showing it that at least the gun cannons were probably getting mass produced along with the GMs, but much better flow. Like the way that it works. If I'm putting it against this television series, I'm going to go with the movies before the television series, but still both good representations of the overall story. So.
Yeah, for me, they're both great products, but I think the movies are the definitive version.
Yeah.
There's all of the great new animation at the end, movie 3, and it obviously sticks out, and you can see that they put their money into that for the time in the 80s.
Very true.
You get the exploration of the new type concept much earlier on.
That's true.
I mean, they're mentioning as far back as when they first meet Matilda on Earth, whereas in the TV show, the whole new type thing isn't mentioned until like the last 6 episodes, and it really just comes out of left field entirely. Like, what the hell are they talking about? What is it? And then it just gets really weird. So that, I think, was a great change. Dumping the super robot stuff with all of the crappy mobile suits and mobile armors.
Yeah.
Dumping the G-Fighter, even though there is one shot in movie 3 where you still see the G-Fighter.
Really?
Yeah, when the core booster is crashing and Sayla jumps out of it and she's like floating into a MAHQ.
Right.
As she's floating in, you see like the nose of the G-Fighter there in the background. They forgot to fix that one scene.
No. That's awesome.
But you don't know what the hell it is if you're just watching the movies. It's like, well, what is that stupid thing sitting there? But anyway, the exploration of the new types, the way that they combined several episodes worth of battles into larger scale battles. The new music that they added.
Yeah.
So
Right.
overall, I think that it's the definitive version. Solbro, your thoughts on the movies versus the TV show?
Well, you guys pretty much hit all the nails on the head. The thing I love about the movies is the introduction of the kind of the much smoother introduction of the new type, and the concept behind it. Other than that, if I had to introduce Mobile Suit Gundam to most avid anime watchers, I would introduce the movie. I would introduce the movies over the TV show. But if it's someone who's not used to watching subtitled anime, because that's the only way the movie's out here, I would probably show them the show, and if they liked it, I would continue to show them the show until it was done. But which, like what I did with my friend Shoji Romero not too long ago, I showed him the entire show, and as much as he found a lot of the kind of antiquated things that are in it funny. I enjoyed watching it with him, and he enjoyed watching it too. At the end, he kind of cursed me for not showing him the movies, but I didn't have them, so I need to get on that. But for them,
well, I've introduced a lot of people to the series via the movies, and that seemed to be the better route to go. Because even for me, I watched both recently myself.
Right.
And even for me, going through the entire TV show is a little bit of a...
it's an endeavor, if anything.
It's a bit of an endeavor, a bit of a task, just sitting through episode after episode, Monster of the Week, and mid-air transformation, and docking this and docking that. So even for someone like... If it's a task for someone like me, I can't imagine what it's like for someone who's really not a devoted follower.
Very true, and you raise a very good point there. But if I had to introduce it to most people, it'd be the movies. I'd have to say the movies by far stand out as the perfected version, and they segue a lot better in the Zeta Gundam than the TV show does.
Yeah.
So I mean that's also important.
Yeah.
Actually, they segue good into Stardust Memory.
Stardust Memory, true.
Yeah. And for me, as a closing comment, I mean, I know a lot of people when it comes to watching MSG, they're hesitant about the old animations. I would say, please don't be prejudiced, and if you can't watch something that's older than 2000, well, that's your own problem, and you're missing out on something that's really good. And if you can't, even if you can't watch that, or if you do watch it and you like it, or if you don't want to watch it, at least explore one of the alternatives like the novel trilogy or the Origin.
Right. Yeah.
What little of it was published in English, because they're interpretations as well. So if you haven't seen it by now, please watch it somehow.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for not talking about Char, but we'll save him for another episode because that's a whole discussion right there.
Because I know we've been had on our list to do a whole Char segment, so we'll give him his time in the spotlight at some point.
Indeed.
I think he's had enough, but we'll give him more.
Had enough.
Well, we haven't. We've talked about the Char spa, so we got to talk about the man himself.
He's not all that.
Oh, dang, man. I'm sorry.
And the Char phone.
Oh, God.
Char phone.
Will. The Char phone. Thank you.
And they had the, what was it? They had the official Quattro Vagina glasses there. I think that was like a year and a half ago. And nice $300 pair of glasses.
And don't forget the Hayakashiki's PlayStation 2.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
The Hayakashiki PlayStation 2.
Man.
The Char GameCube.
I got to stop.
Yeah,
that's enough product placement for Char Reasonable. So
indeed.
With that, we'll be wrapping up this segment, and of course, in the next episode, we'll be continuing with a look at Zeta Gundam. We'll be doing the Gundam Roundup every episode until we finish with all of the Gundam, or until 00 starts, whichever comes first. We'll be back soon with some more of Gundam at MAHQ.
Don't talk down to me like I'm a kid. I totally dig being on my own. Plus, I can eat all the pizza I want.
Didn't I tell you for years to go easy on the pizza? And don't tell me that's all you're eating every day. God, you're pathetic, you know that?
Please don't talk to me like you're my mom. You're not the maternal.
That's enough. Look, you better explain this. I don't give a goddamn about your personal life. Start talking.
Next on Gundam.
I swear, when he stole the Mark II in San Francisco,
oh God,
I was hoping he'd get the beatdown of his life. He should have.
Well, what's funny is the thing with Cats is that, Camille was kind of like that in the beginning, like very impulsive and kind of reckless, but he learned his lessons and he grew up and sort of was a mentor for Cats himself. But throughout the entire series, Cats never learned that lesson.
He never learned.
He was just
an
arrogant, reckless little dumbass, and then when the end came for him,
it wasn't even ceremonious. It was matter of fact.
I don't recall where I read this, but
the thing that
somebody said that when Kotz died, he forgot that he wasn't the main character.
Oh, that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, the problem that I had is they always seemed like they were tougher on Camille when he was doing those stupid little things than they were with Kotz. It seemed, oh, well, he's just Kotz. Kotz is Kotz. It's no big deal. It's like, Bright's beating up dudes on the bridge and stuff, but he would never do anything with Kotz,
or even Wang. You never saw, Katz get his ass kicked, set him on the right path, because it did for Camille.
Yeah.
Gundam. Next episode, who will survive?
Suddenly, there was a terrible roar all around us, and the sky was full of what looked like huge bats, all swooping and screeching and diving around the car. And a voice was screaming, "Holy Jesus, what are these goddamn animals?"
And welcome back, everybody, to Gundam at MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and that was getting to the end of episode 13, in which we covered the first 4 episodes of Macross Frontier, which is debuted now, taking the place on the review front for 00 for us here at Gundam for a while. The second topic that we covered was some of the greatest captains in mecha anime, and finishing up with a new series that is going to be in conjunction, not in conjunction, but it's a kind of a new ongoing series like Anime Spotlight that we're calling Gundam Roundup, where we basically just kind of do our thoughts and takes of the different Gundam series and movies, with this first installment being Mobile Suit Gundam, both the television show and the movie. So that's about it on this front. We'll be getting back to you guys on episode 14, which will be based on the explanation at the beginning of the episode here. We'll be hitting the 00 reviews for the last 4 episodes, plus with the halftime show. But before that, any closing thoughts, Soulbro or Chris? Or closing news or anything? Any Mecha talk or any MHQ related stuff?
Well, for MHQ, we got, as previously announced, some new setting in the near future. We're going to have Gasaraki finally. Anime reviews.
That's only been how long? I've heard people. I've been on your site for I think as long as it's been around, and I've always heard people. When are you gonna do Gasaraki?
Well, I was gonna do it for years, but I just have so much stuff to do, and that show will require so much effort that I just don't have time for it. So I passed the baton over to Brian. our resident reviewer who, he did Idion and Escaflowne and L games, so he's experienced. He's going to handle that. We have a new reviewer who hails all the way over from Saudi Arabia, who's going to be doing Full Metal Panic for us.
Wow. Nice.
That's the other show that everybody's been clamoring for, too.
Yeah, I really need to sit down and watch that show finally.
Yeah.
I also wanted to I want to apologize to one of our female listeners, Cecilia. I made
What did you do?
I made a wild remark a couple episodes ago that Admin Sugar was the only female listener we had. Oh. I got to give a big. I have to congratulate Cecilia for becoming for earning her doctorate. Congratulations to you. And on top of that, thank you for listening to us. And she's definitely one of our favorite female listeners of Gundam.
Is this going to be? Will this become a reoccurring episode or recurring segment to Soul Bros?
The handing out
to
of
the female
props.
listeners, because after this episode gets released, you'll get I don't know,
somebody else,
some other person. I'm a female listener too.
Oh man!
Next episode, I have to say I'm
So
sorry for saying that these two girls are the only female listeners, and now
SBR's Rose of Gundam.
Yeah.
That'll be a new segment, Soul Bros Apologies to Women.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I've got much apologies to give out there. But also,
ladies, send all comments to.
But we'll limit your apologies to Gundam related stuff.
Gundam related stuff. That'll be nice.
Yes.
But also, I'd like to thank all the listeners for their support and their feedback. And you can always send us feedback either at the forums at mechatalk.net or by email at gundammahq@gmail.com. And also, I'd like to just let the listeners know that you've been clamoring for us to get into the discussion of Gunpla and merchandise and whatnot.
It's coming.
We'll definitely be starting that around episode 15. So give us some time. Look forward to 14, and then 15 we'll have something related to models or merchandise in that episode. We promise.
That'll be Bandai's favorite segment of the show. Man. It'll be the one where they say, well, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't give these guys a cease and desist order for this. Because they're talking about what we like the most.
Hey, man.
Making money for us. But
people really think we're on the take with them by then.
I wish.
Well, Bandai knows where they can send the checks.
Yes, right. Exactly. I'm not that hard to find.
But that's all that'll be.
All right.
I will sell my soul for anything.
Okay.
Now that is on the table.
That's just on. I'm just putting it on the table for anybody.
Yes, and any potential sponsors, you know where to find us, because like you've just heard, we'll sell our souls.
Nice.
But that's
we'll advertise anything.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what it is.
You gonna send us a T-shirt, Bandai? Yeah, we'll advertise your whole line.
Yes. You'll give me some hideous T-shirt, but you'll pay me $5 an hour.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
I sold my soul to corporate America as a crappy T-shirt.
That's pretty funny.
They'll give you like an old Double Zeta T-shirt from 1988.
I'll take that.
You guys can have that one.
With the what was one of the real bad mobile suits in that one? We got a whole warehouse full of these. We just never understood why this suit didn't take off. But is that all, guys?
Yeah, I'm
out.
That's all for me.
And myself, yep. Any questions, feedback, or anything, just hit us up on the Mecha Talk forums or through the websites and emails that Solbro had talked about. But that's it for episode 13, and we'll be back with episode 14 shortly. And that's it this time. You're listening to Gundam at MAHQ, and we'll see you later.
Nobody likes to admit their own mistakes due to the folly of their youth.
But MAHQ is a Shinjuku station, an MAHQ production.
I've been there, deep in the shit, and it is no picnic.